The top 7 digital marketing trends that business owners should follow.
G'day, this is Rob Lawson. I shared an infographic created by social media a few weeks ago and got lots of feedback, most wanting a little bit more information about what all this data means. So I'm going to break it down into each of the 7 elements, and I've created this little video, so hopefully clears things up for a lot of questions that you might have. Okay, the first one, just on the right, there's 80% of people that search on Google ignore the ads. You can see that little 80% on the right there. So it is important to work on SEO, but the other side of things is that 20% that does appear at the top, those ads, sometimes at the bottom on a desktop, generally on the phone in the top 4 results that are shown, they do work. Google makes billions of dollars a year, and most of it comes from AdWords, or Google Ads as they're now called. So even though SEO is a place where you'll get the most return, in the short term you can do AdWords and you can do a mix of them. 94% of all search is done by Google. There's a little bit from Bing, which is Microsoft's search engine. Amazon's starting to enter the market, but really Google's the main game. The majority of people don't go past the first page, and it's actually 75%. For B2B, SEO, or search engine optimization, getting yourself to rank on the first page of Google does provide the best ROI. Organic search, which is, again, it's what SEO is. We'll just get into this thing with this part of the graphic with the green background. I find it interesting how we've, over time, evolved to type in quite long search terms. So rather than just the root term of bike, we might, want a hybrid graphite, whatever frame, what you want with certain handlebars, and you'll type all of that into the search rather than just the root term bicycle. So 50% of searchers use more than 4 words in their search term. If you were a mortgage broker, you would struggle to rank for the term home loan, or you might be able to rank for low doc home loans for tradies. So important to do lots of keyword research and understand what keywords you can rank for and then focus on those. So look at some of these other data points here. The top 5 search terms get 70% of the clicks. So that's a significant amount if you can manage to get to the first 5. And it can take you quite a while to get there. I find this quite interesting, that 1,890 words is the average amount of content on first page results. So that means to me that people are consuming blog posts, white papers, more detailed content, and that's what Google's presenting higher up the page, which goes against the trend from a lot of people that approach me and say, people haven't got time, they don't want to read stuff. Look, if you're really interested in something, if you really are after some information before you make a purchase, you are going to go into the detail. And it's only when you're not that you're going to skim. So it's important to have lots of good detail about your products and services. This is a really interesting number, 300% more traffic to sites from Google than from search, organic search, than any other. And 21% of searchers click more than one result. And we do. We might pick one big supplier or vendor, one mid-range and one smaller, and talk to each of them to see if there's any price disparity, if there's any, sometimes the smaller guys look after you a bit better, or whatever it might be. We do tend to look at more than one result. Local SEO. If you've got a physical business, a shop, where someone can come to you to buy your goods or your service, you need to sort out your local SEO, or Google My Business, as it's called. And the data's there that, we search for something and we go and act on it. So I just did it before at lunchtime, dry cleaner near me, and then found the closest one and off I went. Didn't even look at price. And mobile search. In the States last year, mobile searches outstripped desktops, and I'm sure the data is very similar here in Australia. So, and mobile advertising revenue is going through the roof. I think there's some interesting information around ad blocking that is going to affect advertising results over time as we get a little bit more picky about what we want to see. But mobile search is certainly on the up and up. The other thing I wanted to touch on before I leave SEO is how much it will cost and whether you should engage an external firm. I have seen so many people underwhelmed by snake oil salespeople from SEO because no one really understands SEO. So they pull the wool over your eyes, charge you $1,000, $1,500 a month for a year, and you get nothing. I'd rather see you put that money into creating your own good original content, whether you outsource that, whether you can have someone internally write some stuff, or whether you have a combination of the two, and then get someone who knows what they're doing to show you how to structure your site properly for search and then to outreach with that content. And you'll get within 6, 12, 18 months, depending on how hard the keyword is, you'll get traction and you'll really, really get some good results. So I will go over all 7 trends, and there is a little bit of a crossover amongst them. So hopefully you find it all useful. If you've got any questions, look for my socials at the end of this video, and please reach out and I'll come back to you. Next we have social media. The first of these being Facebook. Some interesting stats around this. Sharing a blog post via Facebook, you'll get 22.6% more Facebook likes if it's more than 1,500 words. So as we looked back at SEO and the length of the page content for the first page listings, it was 1,890 words. So again, longer form copy is going to pay off for you. If you write some good, detailed, original content, you'll get more traction with it. With Facebook ads, 75 to 90% include an image. And we've just seen there's no stats on video in this particular infographic, but video ads on Facebook do gain lots of traction as well. The most effective length of an ad title is just 4 words and 15 words for the link description. So keep that in mind. Best time to post is weekdays is 1 to 3 p.m. And 74% of people say they use Facebook for professional purposes. So we're not just restricted to business to consumer. Business to business can work well in Facebook. But again, quality over quantity. Don't just spew out lots of garbage. Make sure you're on the money with Facebook. A couple other things to note about Facebook. If you have an e-commerce store, some of the more popular shopping carts like Shopify, WooCommerce, they have native integration to Facebook, so you can do dynamic ads of your products. It's a very cool feature and worth looking into. All right, we moved down to Twitter. I sort of wax and wane a little bit with Twitter. It can be very effective. It's good for celebrities and it's good for politicians because they can reach a vast audience in a short space of time. I've found it very good for customers who are doing advocacy. So they might be lobbying for government. They might be trying to push a cause of some description. Twitter is very good for that. One of the things I do like to do, if you do a blog post and you post it on LinkedIn, it does have an integration with Twitter, so you can easily tweet that blog straight out of LinkedIn. So some interesting stats though. Twitter does work for some people. I've had probably only in the 20% of my customers who really find it useful for their business. But again, it's case specific. Tweets with videos get 6 times as many retweets. So it is still an important medium. I just think you need to pick the 1 or 2 things that you find get you lots of traction and focus on those. But if you are doing content distribution and you are creating lots of good content, it's easy to share them on multiple platforms. Instagram has sort of a younger audience. It was bought out by Facebook a couple of years ago. Facebook is more an older audience these days. Instagram's very visual. So it's good for products, it's good for fashion, and it's interesting to see that 60% of users discover products on Instagram. So that's what they're looking for. So they want to see things that are new. The best times are evenings, and then the natural trend is to go straight from the Instagram post to the website of the customer that's posted it. Instagram Stories has been going really well. So 220% increase year on year for ad spending within Instagram Stories. Instagram users count is growing close to 5% per quarter. So it hasn't plateaued. It's still growing quite heavily. And sure enough, humans are humans. They like to see a face. So photos with faces get 38% more likes. And also, if you carry that across into your other things, Facebook posts, if you put a face on your Facebook ad, you should split test with those things, because having a face does attract eyeballs, because it's just a human thing to look for a face or to notice a face. Moving on, in the last couple in the social media section of this infographic, LinkedIn. Our LinkedIn for business to business is fantastic. It's been bought out by Microsoft, so they have retained it as a separate business, and they say they're not going to interfere. It'd be interesting to see how that goes. 80% of B2B leads come from LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the number one channel for B2B marketers. Used to distribute content at 94%. It's just over the top. So it is right in the wheelhouse for B2B marketing, and you must get into it if that's what you're selling. Very effective. You need to have a system. They have a premium, and they have another tool that you can buy, a marketing tool called Sales Navigator. If you're serious about selling B2B, you really should be subscribing to that. Now, the last one that they're touching on is Pinterest. Again, mainly B2C, although it can be useful for products for people like architects and builders. But generally, that's going to be consumed by the end user, the consumer. So the builder who's selling homes, the architect who's wanting to get to the end user who might want to renovate their house or to build a new house, because it's very visual, and you can pin together lots of like images or lots of related images, all about one house, all about one type of style or what have you. So, and they're pretty sticky. Pinterest spend 50% more on the average compared to other social media channels. Also spend 20% more than users referred from non-social channels, including search engines. And 80% of millennials users say the platform helps them decide what to buy. I hope you found all of those statistics interesting, and hopefully I've made them a little clearer. If I haven't, please again reach out to me on social, and I'll give you some feedback specifically for your business and your industry. Video marketing. Video is the future of internet content. There's a blurry line appearing already between broadcast television and online content. Many smart TVs you can watch either, and it's very easy to do so because they're all built into the remote, and just click away and you're into the website, into YouTube, searching up whatever you want to look at. So certainly is the future. Let's have a look at some specific stuff in relation to this infographic. Product videos can increase purchases by 144%. Almost 50% of internet users look for videos related to a product or service before visiting a store. So if you can show people what your product does, make life easier for them, especially on the phone where they don't want to read lots of content. They can just watch the video. 4 in 5 consumers believe that a demo video are helpful. So if you're demonstrating how your product works, that's going to be half the battle to making the sale. Social videos. 41% of marketers plan to add Facebook video to their content strategy in the next year. Facebook and YouTube is waging a war with YouTube to try and be the video channel. It sort of makes sense in a way, because you can watch a video on Facebook that you weren't looking for because it just appears in your feed or is promoted to you because of some interest you have, and you might find it appealing, whereas on YouTube you're actually going and looking for something. So it's a slightly different play. But you'll get much more traction if you upload native to Facebook with your video rather than pasting a link from YouTube into Facebook, because Facebook won't promote it anywhere near as much. 45% of people watch more than an hour of Facebook or YouTube video in a week. If you've got people who are in your household who are sub 17 or 18, that number will be way higher. I can provide first-hand evidence of that. This is interesting. Square videos are more effective than horizontal videos on Facebook. So the way you shape your player. 64% of consumers say watching a marketing video on a Facebook has influenced the purchase decision of theirs in the last month. So don't ignore video on Facebook. YouTube. 2/3 of YouTube users watch YouTube on a second screen while watching TV at home. And I see this all the time. My 2 kids. YouTube has over 1 billion users, almost 1/3 of all people on the internet. And as I said before, you can easily watch YouTube on your TV and other internet content straight from your TV. 65% of senior executives never go to a site after viewing related YouTube videos. So it's a compelling reason to have a good video about what you do. And 32% of consumers engage in branded videos on YouTube. So if it's a brand name, you need to be all over it. 55% of people consume video content thoroughly. 43% of people want to see more video content from marketers. And having a video thumbnail in the search result can double your search traffic. Very interesting statistic. Video drives 157% increase in organic traffic from search engine results. Video will represent 82% of all internet traffic. Now, when it comes to budget, you don't have to do broadcast quality, television quality video. It's not like the old days where you had to spend 30, 50 grand on a corporate video that you had in a VCR player. You can get things shot on an SLR camera. You don't need a high-end video because those SLRs are pretty good. I wouldn't go for iPhone camera, mobile phone camera footage. Can work, but it can get a little grainy. There's plenty of people out there you can find that will help you with editing, adding graphics, adding the voiceover like I'm doing with this video, and putting some overlays of graphics and adding some music, and you can get some royalty-free music, or you can buy some music quite cheaply. And there is some stock video that you can buy to add in to supplement the video that you've got. So plenty of ways to approach video marketing. You just need to start doing it. Experiment, find out what works, find your own style, and build your audience, and you won't look back. Cold email marketing. So what's that compared to warm or hot? Well, it refers to a list that you have, an email list of people who have opted in. And this is a list that you might send regular emails like a newsletter or updates on products and services and what have you. Some of the higher end e-commerce sites will be emailing every day, depending on what someone's selected for their preferences. But that's cold email marketing. It's an opted in list. It's not the warm or hot email that's going from person to person that we use in our day-to-day communication with customers, colleagues, and what have you. So let's have a look at some of the stats around cold email marketing. 18.16% is the average open rate, and the average bounce rate is 9.6%. And segmented email campaigns have a 14.37% higher open rate. So that's segmenting it out based on not just your 30,000 on your email list or your 3,000 on your email list, sending the same message to all of them, but breaking it down into segments. So existing customers or high-end customers, or different messages for customers and for prospects, or people who have bought particular things, sending them particular emails, particular offers. If you make it more custom, you'll get a much better result. Emails sent between 10 and 11 a.m. have a higher open rate, and emails sent on Tuesdays get the highest open rates. And if you personalize it, and that's, this is pretty basic personalization they're showing here, where it's only just inserting the person's name. But if you can put the name also in the headline or the subject of the email, that will help the open rate considerably. Emails with 20 to 250 words had the highest response rate at 19%. Short emails with fewer than 50 words had the next. So either make them long or make them a bit shorter, and they'll work better for you. 42% of marketers do not send targeted email messages. It is one of the most effective methods of digital marketing, but you've got to segment and you've got to have good messaging, and if you don't get that right, it won't work. And the spam filters are getting better and better at picking up stuff that's not opted in and that's not wanted. 83% of companies will at least use basic segmentation. 78% of consumers had to unsubscribe from emails because the brand was sending too many emails. And I've done that just recently, so you've got to experiment. Don't send the same number to the whole list. Maybe if you've got a really big list, separate it into 3 or 4 different groups and try different messaging and different timing, and also different volume of messaging of emails to get the balance right. 86% of professionals prefer email or communicating for business purposes. Mobile email, it's certainly got these interesting stats as well. 73% of companies surveyed prioritize mobile device optimization of their emails, because a lot of people are opening their emails on their phone. We're busy, we're traveling in between appointments, we're in a cab, we're on public transport, or we're sitting in a meeting, waiting to go to a meeting, sitting outside or waiting for people to turn up. We'll check our emails on our phone and we'll deal with the most important ones right there and then. Or if we've got some time, we might read an interesting newsletter that's related to something that we've got a problem with. One last thing about email and phones is I have noticed that there are a lot of services now with marketing automation About 49% of business use some form of email automation. So marketing automation tools, another subject in itself, but you can also do text messaging automation. So rather than just send an email, a lot of people are now getting into sending, a lot of companies are getting into sending text messages, which have a way higher open rate. You've got to be careful. It's got to be segmented and targeted. But you can also send a voice message via text, which I've experienced just recently from a conference I'm going to in the US. So lots of food for thought there, I'm sure. Paid advertising. Pay-per-click or PPC. Majority of this would be Google Ads. 60% of buyer intent keywords are paid clicks. The average cost is $2.32. 64.6% of people click on Google Ads when they are looking to buy an item online. I've seen it work for B2B, B2C. Click costs can go through the roof for certain terms, but there's a reason, because the ROI is quite good for, very competitive terms like personal injury lawyers, for instance. They have very high click costs, but if they get a gig, the payoff's quite large for them. Mobile advertising. 70% of people dislike mobile ads, so they like to skip the ads. Mobile ad blocking has increased 90% year on year. 60% of consumers click on mobile ads at least weekly. They do work. Talking of ad blocking, ad blockers are used twice as often on a desktop or a laptop, so they haven't infiltrated mobile phones as much. And the majority of us, 77% of consumers, agree they would prefer an ad filter than completely ad blocking. Interesting how you can configure your settings on LinkedIn. You can't completely block, but you can filter out ads from certain people and certain companies and what have you. 81% of consumers have exited a website because of a pop-up ad. Ad blocking in the US has increased from 15 to 30% since 2014. Be similar numbers here in Australia. Pop-up advertising. 30% of marketers think outbound marketing tactics are overrated. It's much better if it's inbound. If they're searching for something and they find you, that's going to give you a much higher rate of return. 72% of consumers would have a lower opinion of a brand if they used pop-up ads. 4 out of 5 people have left a website because of a pop-up. So interesting to experiment with. I do like the big pop-up for a newsletter subscription or a blog subscription that appears over the top of the screen. Maybe not instantly, but after a little while after you've been on a page the first time that you visit. I think that's worthwhile, but don't do it every time that person visits. Just do it once every now and then, maybe on their 5th visit if they haven't subscribed. There's plenty of software allow you to do these things. But pop-up ads, they're different to pop-ups for subscriptions. So be very careful with those. Lead generation. The infographic has broken this into 2 distinct sections: demand generation and marketing automation. Generating leads is a big topic, and most of all of the previous content you've seen in this video has different distribution platforms and what have you used to generate leads. However, the customer journey is quite complex, and the user will be about 70% down the journey before they reach out to a salesperson, if they do it all, and they prefer not to, probably. So don't think lead generation is a single act. A Google ad click for a form completion might be that when you're at that 70%. So there's loads of research, there's comparisons, product comparisons, case study views, and then you've got the process of lead nurturing, which I like, and that's where marketing automation comes into play. So looking at the stats, in B2B, the majority of marketers are sending people to a specific landing page in order to capture their lead, rather than just sending them to the homepage of the website, which doesn't seem to work as well. 61% of marketers say generating traffic and leads is their top challenge. I mean, most of the companies that fail to get their revenue don't understand their KPIs. You've got to understand all the data behind this. 53% of content marketers use interactive content in lead generation efforts. Now, that is a big one. Just sending someone to and expecting them to fill out a form, that's tough. If you can have some interaction where you can do some calculation for them, provide them some value in that interaction in order to capture the lead, you're going to get a better result. Only 18% of marketers say outbound practices provide the highest quality leads. And marketing automation, spending on this has gone through the roof. As I mentioned earlier, it is a subject on its own. So generally what you will do, you'll have a tool which has some code on your website, which integrates with the website. It integrates with your CRM. You do all your email, your cold email marketing out of the marketing automation tool. And it also has a whole range of workflows which are based on triggers. So look up a couple of marketing automation tools and a couple of blogs and see what it's all about, or reach out to me and I can give you some tips on what might be the best suited for whatever platforms you've got, what the size business that you're in, and what industry. So just have a look at my socials and ping me and I'll come back to you with a bit more detail around marketing automation. Companies that automate lead management see a 10% or more bump in revenue in 6 to 9 months' time. So it's a big market. There's a lot of software vendors out there peddling their wares. Finding ones that have native integration into your other platforms is key. The last of the 7 trends is content marketing, and this was in relation to blogging and content strategy. Content marketing really is intertwined with a lot of the other things that we've spoken about before in this video. You create a bit of content, you might place it on your blog, which might be either separate or part of your website. You might push that out through LinkedIn, through Twitter, Facebook. It might be a video blog like this one, and you'll post it on those platforms, on Instagram, on YouTube, and then you might put some money behind them. You might make them promoted posts on Twitter. You might have a version of it that is pushed out through some advertising on Facebook. So there's plenty of different ways to distribute your content. Let's have a look at the stats here. 1 in 10 blog posts are compounding, meaning organic search increases their traffic over time. It's a great way to get SEO happening is to blog. Companies that blog receive 97% more links to their website, which is the key to SEO, is to get backlinks. Titles with 6 to 13 words attract the highest and most consistent amount of traffic. B2B companies that blogged 11 plus times per month got more than 4 times as many leads than those that blog only 5 times per month. So, we're talking medium to large companies here. The smaller companies, you're going to struggle to get to pump out that amount of content. So you've got to find a balance when it comes to what you can do and what you can't do. With regards to content strategy, 42% of companies have hired a designated content strategist executive. So having someone in-house to find content opportunities, to write the content or to brief writers or to get subject matter experts from within the company to get content together is really, really important. 45% of B2C marketers believe visual content is their most important type of content. So you need to get some pictures, you'll get some video together. 47% of buyers viewed 3 to 5 pieces of content before engaging with a sales rep. As I said before, they're 70% down the path of the sale before they're going to engage with you. So there's plenty of ways that they can find out all about the competitive products or the services, who does what, look at case studies, look at reviews, look at Google reviews, and narrow it down to who they want to talk to. So you've got to be on your game. Content marketing gets 3 times more leads than paid search advertising. A lot of the stuff that we saw in the beginning of this video around SEO is very closely aligned to your content marketing, your blogging and your content strategy. And that's going to help you with your search results, and it's going to give you a much higher return on investment. But it is a long play. It's going to take you some time, but it's certainly worth the investment. And, if you'd planted a tree 7 years ago, you'd be eating the fruit now. So there's no time like the present. As I've mentioned a couple of times through the video, if you're not sure on something or you'd like some more specific advice in relation to you, your business, your category, the type of software or the type of web platform that you've got, what tools are going to be best suited for you, please reach out to me. You'll see my details on the screen. That's roblawson.com.au is my email address, and then you can reach out to me on my socials as well. So I hope you found this video interesting and thought-provoking. Again, if you're a small to medium business, you probably can only manage to do 2 or 3 of these things. Find out the ones that you like doing, that work well for you, and stick at them. Because marketing is about being consistent. And if you consistently put out good quality content, you will be rewarded. Thanks. That's Rob Lawson from Rob Lawson Digital. Look forward to talking to you soon.